gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Monday, August 25th, and it's officially game week. Of course, the Iowa State Cyclones got started this weekend, but for the rest of college football and for high school football here in our Quad City area, game week is officially here. And I know everyone is excited. And you just got up this morning, you went outside, and it feels like football weather. I mean, it was like 60 degrees. It just felt like, hey, let's play football, let's cover football, let's talk football. Luckily, that's exactly what we get to do. A lot of that and a little bit more coming up right here on OTA on a Monday. If you're watching us live on YouTube, thank you for that. We appreciate that. Go ahead and subscribe as well. Tell a friend or two or 10 about what we're doing right here in the Quad Cities each and every weekday at 10 a.m. We also thank you if you're watching us on YouTube later. That's the beauty of YouTube. Thank you for that. We are live on X. X has been very good to us. And also you can check us out on all the podcasting platforms. Anywhere you get your podcast. Spotify, Apple, iHeart, you name it, you can check it out. Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Thank you to the people this weekend. Subscriptions, and I shouldn't say subscriptions, but numbers were up over the weekend. People catching up with the show over the last week, so we appreciate that as well, and a lot more to get to, not just today, but throughout the week, and of course the months ahead right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Really fun show to get to today. I'm excited about it because coming up in a matter of moments, we're going to be joined by the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin, somebody I grew up listening to, somebody who I have a ton of respect for, somebody that I kind of get to work with a little bit this year, although Gary doesn't really have to put up too much with me, which is a beautiful thing. But Gary Dolphin will be along to talk about Iowa football, which comes your way this Saturday from Kinnick Stadium, 5 p.m. kick. So Gary Dolphin right around the corner as well. Also hoping to catch up with Jake Brend in a little bit. Jake traveling like crazy over in Ireland for CycloneFanaticc, covering the Cyclones. We'll get to them in a second. Hoping to get him on in the last hour of the show today as well. We'll talk all Cyclone football as well as they go overseas and get a big victory over Kansas State this weekend. So we'll get to that in just a second. Also, we'll continue our off-the-air high school football previews by heading out to Annawan Wethersfield, checking in with their head coach, Tony Gripp. Expectations always high with the Titans. They are once again this season. So we'll catch up with Tony Gripp coming up in hour number 2. And later on in hour number 1, we'll chat with our good friend, Andrew Layman, with the John Deere Classic. The John Deere Classic dates are officially set. That happened last week, but Andrew's a big timer. He was out of town like big timers are. So we're going to catch up with him today, talk about that. A big weekend for Tommy Fleetwood when it comes to the PGA Tour. And then also we'll talk Hawkeyes with him as well, because we have to when it comes to Andrew Layman, although he is a Cyclone alum. So it might be one of those things where we talk about both of them. Who knows? So Andrew Layman coming up a little bit later on in hour number 1 of the show as well. As we mentioned, first, I do want to mention thank you to the Rock Island Milan Booster Club, Bridges Catering, everybody involved last night with the Western Big Six Coaches Banquet. A lot of fun. Coaches were great. 7 of 8 were there. Unfortunately, Geneseo's Matt Furlong under the weather yesterday, so he wasn't able to join us, but a good time, several good jokes. I think people are getting ready to rock, and I think the time for talk is almost over for football. They're ready to play, hit somebody else, all that kind of stuff. So if you missed it, MC22 will be replaying the Western Big Six Banquet, so check out mc22.net, I believe. and I apologize if I'm getting that wrong. I'll figure it out and get back to it. But you can check out the time in which it's available or check it out online as well. It was a ton of fun. So thanks again to the Rock Island Milan Booster Club for allowing me to MC the event once again, and it was a lot of fun. We mentioned Iowa State. I think we'll start with Iowa State this weekend. On Saturday, they kicked off the college football season. Yes, there were some other games, but they were the marquee matchup. Not a lot of games. They kicked things off in Ireland with Farmageddon against Kansas State. We talked a lot about it throughout the last couple of weeks. A big game to start the season. And if they could get the job done and beat a Kansas State, it's really going to enhance, the rest of the season. It could be their biggest game of the year, besides Iowa, of course. And I know Iowa State fans don't like hearing that because it has nothing to do with the Big 12, but besides the Hawkeyes, Kansas State, one of the biggest games of the year. They go over to Ireland and get the job done. It was a slow start for both teams, 7-7 till late third quarter. Iowa State took the lead late third quarter and had it by 3 with about 2 minutes and change to go, facing 4th and 3. And Matt Campbell taking a page out of Dan Campbell's playbook, going forward on 4th and 3. They got the first down right there with the pass completion. Wasn't a touchdown, didn't need the touchdown. They would milk the clock, end the game after that, and plenty of celebrating for Iowa State fans over in Ireland as they come back champions. Trophy games are cool. I know people got after Iowa State on social media about it, but trophy games are cool. They bring home that trophy and they get a big victory to start the season. So we're hoping to be joined by Jake Brend coming up in hour number 2, but Iowa State off to a great start. They're already back in Ames, getting ready because it's game week for them. They have a big game with South Dakota, I believe, coming up this weekend. So yeah, they get back to work, but congratulations to Iowa State. Will help them in the rankings. Already started the season at number 22 and puts them on a good path now to be even more in that conversation for a Big 12 championship. And I know you're sitting there listening going, it's August 25th, but that's a huge game, a huge victory. Hats off to Matt Campbell and the Iowa State Cyclones for getting the job done. So again, maybe Jake Brend later in the show. If not, we'll catch up with him later this week as well. College football season starts this week. Illinois starts on Friday night when they host Western Illinois. Iowa opens against Albany coming up at 5 o'clock this Saturday. And don't forget, if you're here in the Quad Cities, there's a new home for Iowa football here in the Quad Cities. It's on the FM dial now. Vintage Radio, WQUD 107.7 is the new home for Iowa football. So if you're in your car listening to this on a podcast or however you're doing it, make sure you change those settings on your radio and get ready for Vintage Radio 107.7. That's where you'll hear the Iowa Radio Network coming up this Saturday. Really excited to be part of it as pregame host, and I figured there is no better way to start off our week than by the voice and the sounds of Iowa football, and that can only be one man. And there's no better way to kick off football and game week in the state of Iowa than be joined now by our good friend and the voice of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin. Dolph, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. I know this week for you is fun, exciting, all those good things. It's also busy as heck, so I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, and you can see in the background of my office what it looks like getting ready for a new season, Matt. It's maniacal and hectic, and I slow down a little bit more with every passing year as we get older. But there's nothing negative about it. I'm fired up about it. At Iowa, it's such a unique job because you have a lot of moving parts. I mean, where else can you go for Fry Fest and Hall of Fame induction ceremonies and concerts and this week brings the Chris Street Memorial Scholarship Golf Outing at Finkbine. There'll be a lot of great basketball names in Iowa City, but of course everyone comes out for the home opener. Other than homecoming, this might be the most involved weekend for Iowa football. And of course, they got a pretty good football team too, with Coach Ferentz starting his 26th year. He's going to become the all-time winningest coach when it's all said and done, hopefully early versus later. He'd like to get it out of the way. You know, Ferentz, he doesn't really get into self-indulging headlines. So hopefully they can, if they win this weekend with Albany, which they should, then what drama. That would tie Kirk with Woody Hayes, and he could break the record next week in Ames. But I'll guarantee he's not worried or thinking about that right now.
No, absolutely. He's got one game on mind. That is Albany. I want to talk about you first. We got football to talk about, but Dolph, doing this, and when you started named 1996 in December.
97. Well, I got hired in 96, and then we kind of barnstormed.
If I would have told you almost 3 decades later, you'd be, one, talking to me, you'd probably be disappointed, but doing the job that you're doing, it's been something that's just fit so nicely. What does it mean to still be the voice of the Hawkeyes nearly 30 years after you started?
Yeah, any day it's great to be the voice of the Hawkeyes because, I have a passion for Iowa football, basketball, all things Hawkeyes, all 23 or 4 sports. And I grew up in a little town, Cascade, which is, 65 miles from Iowa City. My folks had season tickets to football and basketball. And we'd jump in the old Mercury station wagon and drive down to, then it was Iowa Stadium. I remember my first game in person at the old Iowa Stadium before they called it Kinnick was, I believe, 1962 or 63, and Iowa hosted Notre Dame. I mean, that's how the game has changed in terms of scheduling. And the Hawks got thumped pretty good, but that was a great era for Iowa football, coming out of Evashevsky into Jerry Burns, and Iowa was predicted to be very good during the Burns era. They had a couple really good years, but they weren't far removed from a national championship, and I think it was 1959 or 1960. And so that was just a thrill. And then my first Iowa basketball game in person at the old field house was 62 or 63. What I remember about it, it was Don Nelson night. It was senior night. It was in March. Don, of course, Nelly from Rock Island.
Yeah.
And Nelson scored 35 or 37 points. So what a debut to be at your first Iowa basketball game, watch Don Nelson. And I've seen many great names and broadcast many great games since I chose this vocation. But no, I didn't expect it to be. This will be 28 years or coming up 28 years doing Hawkeye football and men's basketball. I thought when I got the job, I got it at age 45. So it wasn't like I was a 24-year-old coming out of college. I'd like to tell young people, strive for your dream job. Don't give up on it. It took me 25 years to get my dream job. But in between, I had a lot of fun doing high school games, driving up and down old Highway 61 when it was 2-lane. In those days, back in the 70s and early 80s, the Dubuque schools were in the old Mississippi Valley Conference, which included, Matt, as you know, Clinton, Quad Cities, Muscatine, and Burlington. Yeah. So I'd make that 3-4 hour drive to Burlington on a Friday night for the Greyhounds and the Wahlert Golden Eagles or Hempstead Mustangs. And so, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. And then I covered Loras and St. Ambrose or the University of Dubuque and Central in the great old Iowa Conference. So it certainly prepped me for what I'm doing today.
Oh, absolutely. Gary Dolphin joined us right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Dolph, you mentioned this week and being game week. What is this first week like and how has it evolved? Because I know it's super busy for you, but you kind of mentioned it. It's maybe besides homecoming, this is what we've been waiting for. The fans in the state excited about football. We can only talk so much. We're tired of hearing people like me and you and everybody else talk about this football team. What is it like? Because there is that anticipation, almost like no other game on the schedule.
Yeah, it is because it's a build-up all, coming out of spring football. All people, at least in this state, want to talk about mostly is Iowa football, or Iowa athletics, I should say, and in anticipation, particularly since Mark Gronowski arrived. As you know, we've had for a variety of reasons issues at the quarterback position the last 5-6 years, and people think we haven't had a good quarterback at Iowa since Brad Banks. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. I can name off 5 of them. Off the top of my head, including Stanzi and C.J. Beathard and Drew Tate, and 6 years ago now, in the Holiday Bowl in San Diego, Nate Stanley threw 5 touchdown passes. Yeah. So you got to have a quarterback, and he's got to stay healthy. I think Cade McNamara would have been fine, but the guy couldn't stay healthy. Spencer Petras had a shoulder issue, an arm issue. Good quality young guys and terrific quarterbacks. Well, now Gronowski comes in at 6'3", 230 pounds. He's scored 130 touchdowns in his career, thrown for over 10,000 yards at South Dakota State. And I get it; it's not the Big Ten, but it is a national championship caliber FCS program. That's pretty good in my book. Up here in Dubuque, I covered Bo Ryan when he was the basketball coach at UW Platteville, and he won four Division III national championships. And how'd that work out for Bo? Pretty good, as he went on to Milwaukee, and then, of course, the University of Wisconsin. Coach McCullum, Ben McCullum, has won 4 Division II titles. Doesn't matter to me what level you're coaching at. If you can win national championships, or play at, if you can win national championships, you're awfully good. And so here comes Gronowski, the gunslinger, but he's as good a runner as he is a passer, in my view, and in a lot of scouts' views. He could have went to the NFL draft, might have been maybe a 4th or 5th round pick this past spring, but he got that shoulder repaired, which he had been playing with through pain at the University of Iowa hospitals, and he's 1,000% ready to go, and I'm really excited for him. This guy knows how to go north and south. I mean, he knows where the end zone is, and so with that, you add in three quality veteran backs, and Kamari Moulton Patterson and Ty Washington. And I will tell you, Matt, I think this is the deepest receiving room that Iowa's had in maybe a decade.
Yeah. Because
of this 6'5" sophomore Reese Vandersea, Caden Weegan will be in that slot. They brought in some transfers. Sam Phillips from Chattanooga. Seth Anderson is back for his last year. There are others that have been, blending into the mix here for a year or two, and got a couple freshmen that have risen up and answered the bell. With one of the best offensive lines in the Big Ten, returning, led by Logan Jones, Jennings Dunker, Bo Stevenson. This could be a real special year for the Iowa offense. We've got to stay healthy. Just got to stay healthy. Defensively, great D-line led by Aaron Graves, Ethan Herkett, Max Llewellyn. They all had +6, 6.5 sacks a year ago. The back end led by the X-Man Xavier Wampa, and there'll be some new faces back there. Linebacker has some people wringing their hands, but I think in Phil Parker and Seth Wallace we trust. They've got guys. Carson Shires had a great fall camp, had a really good spring camp, and he's been a starter off and on for a couple of years now, and they've dropped Jackson Rexroth from Cedar Rapids Xavier down into that Leo position. And then Jaden Montgomery and Jaden Harrell are fighting it out in the middle. Montgomery, a legacy player. His dad's on the Green Bay Packers staff. Jerry Montgomery played for Hayden and Kirk, and then Harrell is a headhunter from the Des Moines area. So I think they're solid on defense. Who's going to be the next Jack Campbell or Jay Higgins? We'll find out hopefully sooner than later. And with an All-American kicker in Drew Stevens and a punter like Reese Dakin, who can really set that defense up in field position posture, there's no reason not to be excited about Iowa football. But again, we could say this every year. I mean, Kirk Ferentz blueprint is so plain Jane and simple and sound that kids want to play. They want to play in it, whether it's offense or defense or special teams. Great coaches, a great head coach, Hall of Fame head coach. So let's get it going. Albany's coming in here, 4-8 a year ago. They won a Division II championship a couple years back. So they've got good kids. The state of New York produces great high school football. And so, at Iowa, the Hawks aren't going to overlook anybody, especially on opening day. I mean, they want to hit the ground running. And as you know, Matt, with this new college playoff format, it's a brutal schedule, really a tough schedule for the Hawks. But I like that. Win your home games, pick a couple off on the road, and a 9-win season for Iowa would have them, I think, a playoff contender as a wild card, no doubt.
No, absolutely. You look, if this team can go 10-2, that most likely means they beat an Oregon or a Penn State, or that's a great resume builder as well. Gary Dolphin joining me right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. I want to circle back to Gronowski because they see the numbers, and you mentioned some of the stats One of them that I think gets overlooked, he's 49-6 as a starting quarterback, Dolph. I mean, the guy is a winner, and it's so overlooked, I think, this day and age. I think Kellen Moore has the record for the most victories as a starting quarterback at the college level. I think it was 50-3, something crazy like that. But talk to that a little bit, because the guy, and I've got to talk to him a little bit. I know you've gotten to talk to him some as well. He has that, I think, moxie of a quarterback, and the results are there. The guy's a winner, and that's a big deal in college football, isn't it?
It sure is, and that's a great point. I mean, he's been here. He came in January or February, right prior to spring ball. Had the shoulder repair, and by the way, his shoulder's fine. There's nothing wrong with his shoulder. I mean, the guy threw I don't know how many touchdown passes with a bad shoulder, a hurting shoulder,
right?
And not only did he get the throwing wing repaired and cleaned up, he got the other one scraped too, since he's at one of the best medical plants in the world, University of Iowa Hospitals. So he's been throwing strong since June 1st. So he's been here 6 to 8 months. And that's important because players wanted to get to know him on the offensive side of the football. And I've talked to nearly every one of them. And the first word that comes out of their mouths 95% of the time is, he's a leader. Well, you look at his pedigree. He's a veteran. To your point, he's won almost 50 games as a starting quarterback at the Division I or 1AA, as I still call it, level. That's big time. Comes out of a great program in Chicago. He's a Chicago kid with the name of Gronowski. I guess that fits, doesn't it? But he's a leader. He's a veteran. He's a listener. And Tim Lester has his quarterback. I mean, Lester came in here a year ago. Not that any of those quarterbacks weren't paying attention, but Lester runs that Green Bay Packer offense. That's where he camped out for several years. Him and Coach LaFleur were roommates and classmates and teammates at Western Michigan. So they think alike. So you look at the Packers, that's the offense Iowa's running. Well, you got to have a special quarterback to run that offense. He's got several now, not only Gronowski, but Hank Brown, the redshirt sophomore, transferred in from Auburn. He can really fling it. Great accuracy. And behind him, the freshman sensation, Jimmy Sullivan. And, we still got Jackson Profar still hanging around. So the Hawks have their options now. The quarterback room is full of Tim Lester guys. And so to Gronowski, he ran a lot of that offense at South Dakota State. And now he's tweaked his approach given Lester's philosophy. So, and Tim Lester will tell you the passing game starts with throwing it to the running backs. And he'll tell you, see Aaron Jones. And when Aaron Jones was in Green Bay, he missed 6 games a couple years ago and came back for the final 4 games. I think the Packers won them all, or pretty much won them all, and then went to the playoffs because of Aaron Jones' health. He was back healthy. And Lester will tell you that, they walloped the Cowboys in the first round game on the road in Dallas, led the 49ers by 2 scores, I believe, in the second half, ended up giving that game away in the end. But they were the highest scoring, highest yardage producing offense and youngest roster in the NFL in the playoffs that year, 2 years ago. And so that offense works. Gronowski knows how to run it. And but when you hear his teammates say the guy's a leader, that means they're listening in that huddle. Gronowski has great. He's got their attention, and that attention span runs lengthy. I've seen maybe 3 or 4 practices since they began fall camp, and now Mark's had some issues with the Iowa defense. What a shock! I mean, Phil Parker and Seth Wallace and Kelvin Bell, they're getting after him because that's all they've heard about since Mark's got to town. So there's always that little running battle. You've been to enough practices, Matt. You know what I'm talking about. Defense doesn't want you scoring on them. Doesn't matter if it's a scrimmage, a practice, or on game day. And so, but I think that only, and Gronowski's comes back for more. I think that only makes him a better quarterback at this level than Will. And I know nobody's more excited about getting out there Saturday than Mark Gronowski.
Dolph, you look at that defense, and we had your good friend, your right-hand man or left hand, depending on where he's sitting, Pat Anger on late last week, talking defense with him, and you bring up like question marks on defense, and I hate even saying question marks because I think they're unknowns. I mean, when you have Phil Parker, there's not a lot of question marks. He's going to figure it out. I know he likes what he has. They're just unknown to us. Is that the way you look at that defense? Because in Phil you trust, and his track record's pretty good, isn't it?
I remember when Chad Greenway left, and everybody was leaning on Norm Parker. How are we going to replace Chad Greenway? Yeah, and prior to that, it was Mike Klinkenborg. Then it was James Morris, Josie Jewell. I mean, I can go on and on with all these great names. Nobody knew who they were. I mean, Reese Morgan loves to tell the story. He almost had to twist Kirk Ferentz' arm off to get him to offer Josie Jewell, stuck up there in northeast Iowa in Decorah. Josie was a great high school player. And Kirk learned to trust not only Reese Morgan, because Reese was the guy who traveled the state of Iowa, every gravel road in his old Ford Explorer. He found Brandon Sheriff, who is going into the Hall of Fame this weekend, one of the great linemen in Iowa history. He found Robert Gallery. He found Mike Elgin. All these names that were not unknowns, but certainly unproven. And now, to your point, present day, there's no doubt, the Jack Campbell's, the Sam Laporta's. Who knew Sam Laporta when he came to Iowa City? Yeah. But this is tight end U. But I think you're referring to the middle linebacker. Now, Montgomery is solid. Jaden Harrell is more the bigger linebacker. One of those guys will fight for the number one position. But they'll both play. They'll both be in there in different situations Saturday and going forward. We know about Carson Shire, and Jackson Rexroth has been around for a couple of years. They moved Jackson Rexroth. He's up to 235 pounds now, at 6'4", and he can really run. And with that wingspan, he can cover. But you mentioned the unknowns. I love it because every year we find out who's the next unknown that we now know. I'll give you a couple names. Zach Lutmar from up around Rock Rapids or Northwest Iowa, Rock Valley. I always get them screwed up. I'll mix that up. But Zach Lutmar was a headhunter on special teams last year. He's going to play a lot of safety. They've moved the X-Man to free safety because it's Cohen Antringer's time. The cornerback, guys that Deshaun Lee and T.J. Hall, they've been there. Now they need to elevate their game to the next level at the cornerback position. There's a couple freshmen that are really coming on strong. I don't want to mention their names. I don't want to put any added pressure on them. And back to linebacker, if anywhere they falter, those three redshirt sophomores now are waiting their turn, and they're all superstars in the making. Preston Reese from Monticello, Cam Buffington from down your way in Winfield, Jess Settle's hometown, and Derek Montross from Williamsburg. Those three names, not unknowns, but they haven't played a whole lot other than on special teams. They are all assassins. They're all maulers. They're all big, strong farm kids, and they're waiting to jump in for their turn. So, again, to your original point, Phil Parker, Seth Wallace, they've been recruiting the same kids with different names for years. So let's give them their time. Let's be patient as this defense evolves.
Absolutely. The voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin, joining me right now. A few more for you before I let you get on your busy day. It is game week, and yes, it's not an SEC program or a huge matchup, but you mentioned it. It's game week. It's the first game. It's Albany. Let's talk. What do we know about Albany? What do we expect? It's a home opener. It's exciting. It's finally game week. So let's talk about an opponent. What do we know about, if anything, about Albany?
Number one, they have a brand new coach. In fact, their former head coach went to the Penn State staff. So we'll get a look at him a little bit later on in the year. They've got veterans back at the what they call the skill positions. They got a solid quarterback. By the way, the new head coach has been there as coordinator, so he blended right in. They're from upstate New York. They play good football. The Great Danes are their nickname. they've brought in now. Remember, NIL has also reached Albany, so they've been scouring the East Coast. They brought in a bunch of transfers, 7, 8, maybe 9 wide receivers, a couple linemen. They were 4-8 a year ago. They won their conference championship not too long prior to that. So it's first off, it's the state capital. I'm showing my historical significance here now. But I love, I don't know how many state capitals you can name, Matt. I used to be able to name them all, but I might miss 3 or 4 now. But that's for another show. No, they're a good, solid program. I'm still learning about them. I've talked to their sports information director a couple times. I've not talked to their head coach, trying to line up an interview with him. But they, like I said, they were a Division II national title threat for several years, not that long ago. So it's a program with a good pedigree, good lineage, and they'll come in here. They always think upset, and you've been to a few non-conference openers like I have, and on the first day, for opening day, everybody's fired up. So sometimes you're too fired up.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be the case with these Hawkeyes because even though they lost a lot of talent on defense, they're still veteran at most positions. And when you have a guy like Aaron Graves leading that defense and Wampa in the back end, and on the flip side, Gronowski, who's been around the block 1,000 times, he loves atmospheres like this. And you have a guy like Jennings Dunker, Logan Jones with their hand in the dirt.
Yeah.
I think this is a special Iowa team. They all are, but one that can do a lot of great things. And my mantra, one of my lead lines has always been, it doesn't happen every year, but Iowa's known for its offensive linemen and it's known for its tight ends. And when you have an offensive line that's ranked top 3 in the Big Ten and a defensive line coming back that's ranked top 2 or 3 in the Big Ten, when you can control that line of scrimmage, you got a chance to win every week out. Got to stay healthy and bring that same nasty disposition each and every Saturday.
All right, Dolph, before I let you go, I got to talk to you about that not rookie anymore, that second-year color analyst of yours. Obviously, Pat Anger's a friend of the show, a friend of myself. I loved watching you guys last year. We had a really fun show when I started doing this with both you and Pat on it, and it was a blast. I love your chemistry in the booth, but just outside the booth as well. I've gotten to see it. I enjoy the heck out of it. I can't repeat some of the stuff that was said when the chemistry is rocking and rolling. But what do you see from him in year 1? What do you expect from here in year 2? Because I think the growth during year 1 was awesome, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job in year number 2.
For a guy that's never had a headset or never wore a headset, at least in a broadcast booth prior to last year, I thought he was remarkable. But then again, I wasn't surprised. I was part of the interview committee that brought in not only Pat, but 4 or 5 other outstanding former Iowa players, All-Americans like Pat. Mitch King was outstanding. Mitch, who was one of the great defensive linemen in Hawkeye history. In fact, a teammate of Pat Anger. Nate Kading, Nate, great personality. James Vandenberg at quarterback. We interviewed all 3 phases for the position, and Pat really, to me, struck me with his candor when we did the face-to-face interviews, of course, and then we put up a quarter of Iowa football. And you can learn a lot about a guy's skill set in a 15-minute quarter of Big Ten football. And we threw up a game, I think it was Michigan State, where Cooper DeJean returned a punt for a touchdown, and Anger was flying out of his shoes at the interview. And so I love that kind of passion. Not that the other guys didn't have it, but there's something special about Pat that when he played, there was something special about Pat because he wore his emotions on his sleeve, still does to this day. And the only concerns I had about Pat was he'd never done it before, and he can get a little blue tongue. But we've had that conversation. We had that conversation. I said, Pat, it's a different era in broadcasting, Matt, as you know.
Yeah.
The language on the air is a lot more liberal than it used to be when I first started and came out of broadcast school. But Pat gets it. He's dumb like a fox, as we used to say. He is a smart dude. He was a great football player. And, to me, it was important, not the end-all, be-all that we had somebody from the defense, but Iowa's defenses have been so spectacular in the Kirk Ferentz era. And, again, Phil Parker, Norm Parker, Seth Wallace, Kelvin Bell, what he's done with that defensive line, Jay Nielsen. That, it was important to me, not a deal breaker, but important to me that we have a strong defensive candidate for the position. And if he was strong enough to, talk to a couple 100,000 people every Saturday, then he was the guy that I would favor. And it turned out to be Pat Anger. And boy, he hasn't disappointed. And to think he's only done this 1 year.
Yeah.
And, he and I have to remind each other that, we're still on that YouTube channel. And it's now a visual medium as well as audio. Because, when you're in a broadcast booth, and we've got 5 people in that booth, I think 4 or 5, and they're throwing stats and papers around and pushing buttons all afternoon long, you can get a little upset and a little on edge and a little frustrating. But we're all laughing about it at the end of the day. And, my old mentor 50 years ago, this will be my 53rd year in broadcasting, told me, and he was a Hall of Fame play-by-play man, he said, and he formed the old Tall Corn Network that did Iowa football back in the 50s. He said, if I could give you one piece of advice, it would be to have a sense of humor, because there are some days you're going to get your arse kicked. And if you're going to hang on to that audience, you better be able to divert to other subject matter, what's going on in the world, what the stock market do today. And you better be able to have a sense of humor and pop a joke, a clean joke every now and then to keep your audience, because you're not going to win every football game or every basketball game. And I've always taken that with me. And with Anger, who has a better sense of humor or a go-to line than Pat Anger. So he not only was a great football player, but he's got a great personality. And that's important to Iowa radio listeners, Matt. As you know, Iowa, because of its ag backbone, will always be a radio state.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Always has a one-liner. Pat does. That's in life, not just on the radio.
And a short one-liner.
Well.
And a short one-liner. I mean, that's...
It always hits. It always delivers. Dolph, before I let you go, I got to thank you because we went up to Iowa City the other night, kind of had our little dinner before your guys's. I don't say
preseason
hour.
kickoff
It's weird
dinner,
for me to say hour because I get to be part of that. So you've been nothing but encouraging and great to me, not just now, but my entire career. Always with a nice thing to say, all of those kind of things, encouragement. I can't thank you enough. I literally get chills. I think I told you the other night, but I'm going through the scripts and I'm like, I get to say you're listening to Hawkeye football from Learfield. I get to say that 7 times a Saturday, and I've heard you say it a million times in my life. Growing up, mowing the lawn, listening to Iowa radio, listening to the games with my dad, and all that kind of stuff. So to be part of your team is ridiculously crazy, and thank you for welcoming me. I hope I don't screw it up too much. I don't think I can do too much to mess things up, but I hope I hold my own.
You won't. You're a professional, Matt, and you got that job on your own because of your own skill set. You've been a good friend for a long time. Quad Cities is a special place. I grew up close to the Mississippi River as well, but you've earned it. I mean, you are good on the air. You got a good sense of humor. You come across. This isn't chemistry or rocket science, but it's football. And Iowa fans love hugging their radio, as Jim Zabel used to say each and every Saturday this time of year. But you'll do a great job in that first hour. And that's a very important first hour. You're the first guy that our radio listeners are going to hear on game day, whether it's deep into the night when we're at USC or UCLA or on the East Coast with Rutgers or Maryland or home in Kinnick. And it's such a great atmosphere, and the fans are very endearing to their radio. As the farmers are out in the field or mowing the lawn on Saturday. That's what Iowa radio and Iowa football is all about. So we're delighted to have you. I know you and Anger go way back, and we'll be able to blend those personalities all together. It'll be a great game day show each and every week. So we appreciate your efforts. Trust me.
Oh, I love it, Dolph. I appreciate that. I know you're busy. Keep working really hard. I'll bug you on Saturday. I won't get in your face too much, but probably the next time you'll see me, I'll be done with my little thing. Hopefully I don't mess it up. But I'll see you this weekend. Enjoy game week, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Hey, it's live radio, Matt. We're all going to screw up Saturday in some way.
I love it.
It's just the dimensions of the screw up is what can get you in trouble, but that won't happen.
Yes.
I mean, it's live.
Yeah.
We'll ad lib our way through a day and hopefully another Hawkeye victory.
I love it.
Good to
Gary
be with
Dolphin,
you, though, bud.
I appreciate you. Take care, my friend.
See you soon.
All right. That is Gary Dolphin, the voice of the Hawkeyes. Super excited about this season. Super excited about joining that team. It's amazing. 8 of us sat there and had dinner, 9 of us maybe, and like they're an amazing group of people. And you can see why Iowa Hawkeye Football and Iowa Radio Network is what it is. Don't forget, there's a new home here in the Quad Cities, Vintage Radio, WQUD 107.7 FM right here in the Quad Cities. We got more to get to. We're going to go from the voice of the Hawkeyes to a Hawkeye fan in his own right. Andrew Layman, the tournament director for the John Deere Classic, joining me to talk a little golf right after the break. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Wednesday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Monday, August 25th. College football week and high school football week is officially here. A ton to talk about throughout the next couple days as we get ready for Friday, Saturday, and beyond, and what should be a fantastic football season. But if you were paying any attention this weekend, it was a great finish for some golf on Sunday. And last week, the John Deere Classic got some official news as well. So I figured, and then it's also football season. And this guy fancies to be a football fan expert. Andrew, are you a football expert when I called you that? Can I call you that?
I'm an expert in my own right, but I don't know if anybody else has ever referred to me in that regard.
We're going to go with it. Andrew Layman, the tournament director for the John Deere Classic, joins us right now. I want to talk Hawkeyes with you right away, but I don't. We got to wait. We got to prioritize. And I want to start with last week. Not that it was any huge news to you guys, but to see the dates official for the John Deere Classic. I think it was June 29th. Through July 5th. So Sunday will be July 5th. Great to see. Obviously, you guys are excited. A little time before that happens, but now there's that official date that you can start working towards, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a question in the community a lot. When are your dates for next year? And although we never truly officially know until the tour releases the schedule, we were all under the assumption of 99.9% that July 4th would be our weekend. And I think we've done a nice job of weaving in the 4th of July as a big part of our week and celebrating our rich community history of military presence here and all the great things that the Arsenal Island does. And next year is a unique opportunity. We'll have the 4th of July fall on a day where we're going to have a pretty big concert on Saturday night while also celebrating, our great country's 250th birthday.
Yeah, no, you said a nice job. I'll take it up a notch. I think people are getting used to it. I mean, I think they like the fact that it's almost becoming a 4th of July thing to do. Where does it fall in John Deere Classic week? And go watch some great golf, go out and maybe fireworks at night, whatever. But you mentioned that's a cool thing. 4th of July is that Saturday. And it is going to, I mean, what a better way to celebrate the 4th of July than golf and a concert at one of the best pieces of property in the Quad Cities. It all kind of ties together nicely this year, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And the reality is, our concerts start around 5:45 and go for 90 minutes. So there's a great chance if you've got, evening plans that involve fireworks at one of our, community's great fireworks displays, you can kind of couple it all together and do it all in one day. So, and you mentioned, figuring out a way to make this successful. You look at the TV numbers for the John Deere Classic this year, we were up 28%, which I think is a byproduct of the 4th of July. People are either home or having parties or, they're at a lake house and they turn the golf on. And then you couple that with the fact that we were up 22.4% in attendance this year too. So by all accounts, as we go through all these numbers, it was another successful John Deere Classic here with the 54th edition.
You're kind of stealing some of my thunder, but I think last time I was talking to you was like probably the Monday after, and you were still trying to like catch your breath and all that kind of stuff. You mentioned some of the TV ratings, the numbers on the grounds, all those kind of things. It was another great year. Can you kind of wrap up what it looked like this past season? Because golf in the Quad Cities continues to get better and better. It was a great event, great concerts, and it kind of showed in the results, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're, ultimately working towards our charity announcement in October, and we're excited to, put those numbers in the community. Going to be another great year for all of our local nonprofits. And then you start to look at, the event side of things. And outside of a little hiccup with weather on Saturday, we finished play at 3:00 and moved the concert up and, got everything in the books. And I sure hope I look a little bit better on August 25th than I did on that Monday after the tournament, struggling to catch your breath after 115 to 120 hour work week. But, that's why our staff gets up and goes to work every day, is to, deliver a world-class event in a community like the Quad Cities and represent the John Deere brand, and then ultimately make as big of an impact on our local nonprofits as we can.
See, everybody sees like the polished, snazzy looking, directly straight up and down Andrew Layman. I was in the house. I saw some stress. I saw the different side. I mean, and obviously that's what's to be expected when you're putting on, a huge golf tournament and then also some concerts and all that kind of stuff. But it does get crazy over there. Do you still have like anything up to remember me by? Like, is there like a chair or like a stain? Like, did I leave like some chips and salsa someplace I shouldn't have? Any way of remembering me? I'm sure you miss me.
Let's just say I didn't get the cleaner out. The chair is still as you left it.
Yes.
But I have a great appreciation for what you're doing, to see it. The times that I would stop down here and sit at my desk for a little bit, and you've got guests in here and trying to tiptoe back out the door. And yes, you did see me on a Saturday at a low point of tournament week. And, you never want to see how the sausage is made, but you got a chance to do that.
No, and don't make it sound like that. It's not like everything was cool, calm, and collected, but there's stress with anything. So, no, it was awesome to see. A little golf before we talk Hawks. To see Tommy Fleetwood win yesterday was just a cool all around story. Your thoughts on the golf from this past weekend and what he got to do?
Tommy Fleetwood is such a world-class human being, first and foremost, and, a fun guy to talk to. Ultimately, he's never played our event, but, even with the Ryder Cup coming up and, you always wear your red, white, and blue, but the European players are so easy to root for. And, to see him get that monkey off his back yesterday, I think that's awesome. I don't know where the tour ultimately goes with the playoff setup. I mean, it's still cumbersome. It's not as easy to understand, right? I mean, you look at the NBA playoffs this year and the finals, like, do you want the Knicks and the Lakers in it every year? Absolutely. But you get Oklahoma City and you get Indianapolis or Indiana in the finals. And I think that's a byproduct of, you don't need necessarily Scotty Scheffler to win every week. And what the run that he's on is so impressive, and probably the closest thing we've ever seen to Tiger Woods. But to have Tommy, get it across the finish line, and, I'm sitting there watching it down in our basement, 3 TVs on. We got the Little League World Series on, we got the Cubs game on, and we've got golf going. And my 14-year-old is just willing Tommy Fleetwood to win the golf tournament. And, what an unbelievable thing for him, because he's been knocking on that door for a long time.
Yeah, you could see the relief in his face, and it was talked about. Obviously, it should be talked about, because that was the lead up. Is we've been here before? Can he finish it? So it was cool to see. Man, I want to come over to the Layman household. Like, just what college football is going to be like.
Our lower level doesn't hold a candle to yours. I've seen yours.
Stop. The concert.
I was trying to play the guitar yesterday. I'm trying to learn something new. So
really,
in the midst of all that, he had to listen to me trying to learn E minor and another.
All right,
I'm over there just drumming away.
We're going to talk about Hawks, but okay, we're not just going to let that go. You're just picking up the guitar. Is this Andrew? Is this a midlife crisis? Do we need to talk?
No, it's not. I've had it since college. I've tried to teach myself, a handful of times. The most recent one would have been, at the start of the pandemic. And I just got back from a work trip. I had PGA Tour meetings in Atlanta. And I watched on Disney Plus that Chris Hemsworth piece, that show Limitless, and, trying to rekindle our youth in terms of brain health and trying to learn something new. So I tell you what, I don't know if it's healthy or not, because I was really, really frustrated yesterday. But by the end of it, I had a couple of chords that sounded pretty good.
Okay. Well, now we're going to continue to develop that. And eventually the goal
I want to open for Zach Brown Band next.
I was going to say, we've never had a concert on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. That could change, maybe. Maybe it's a 2-hour Andrew Layman special around the holidays.
I think you're in the business of retaining listeners and viewers, and we don't need to drive anybody away.
I do a good enough job driving people away with that. Last question about concerts and music. I know you have no idea, but I told my nieces and everybody else I'd ask you, like, what do we know? Anything?
No. It's we've already started phone calls for next year, and there's some ideas that have been thrown around, but ultimately it's got to fit in an artist's schedule to come off the road in the summer with all the festivals and fairs, and man, it's going to be tough to top. And we said that a year ago with Lainey Wilson, but Dierks Bentley was great on Saturday in a shortened show down from 90 to 60. And the cool thing about you saw all those decisions that we made on Friday with finishing play at 3:00 on Saturday, and there's a lot of moving parts. You got to get CBS Sports, locally here on the ground to sign off on a 3:00 finish. Then it's got to go to CBS New York, and then it's got to go to the commissioner's office. And all this is happening on the 4th of July, not the easiest day to get a hold of people. And we got the concert in, weather free, and the last person got on the bus. And within 10 minutes after the last person got on that bus, it just let loose. So, and then on Sunday, man, Zach Brown Band was unbelievable.
Yep.
And I don't know how you top it, but we say that, and that's our job to try to figure that out.
It was cool because I could always enjoy the Saturday ones a little bit, although those were during a show, and so that made it a little more funky. But this was like Sunday. I just sat there with my oldest Charlie, and we listened to some great music. It's, you know what? They had a blast. You know what I mean? Like, and everybody's obviously they're playing a concert. They all enjoy it, but like it felt like they enjoyed it maybe more than other events. They really embraced what they were doing, where they were at. We saw them get the escort back over to the buses. We were kind of walking back to the Stonehouse, and they came flying past, smiling and loving life. So you could tell they enjoyed it as well. All right, I know you got places to go, but we got to talk Hawks. Are you bullish on this season when it comes to Iowa football?
Man, I want to be. I think there should be optimism, right? Like year 2 of Tim Lester, I believe more talent at the quarterback position. I think the defense, although by what we've been accustomed to the last decade, may have dropped off a little bit last year, but that defense was still really good. And I think the schedule's tough. We'll know a lot more about this football team next weekend. And that Iowa State game was certainly interesting. I don't believe the best team won on Saturday. I thought K-State might have been the better team, but man, tip of the cap to the Cyclones and their fans who showed up and showed out in Ireland. And, the ability to win those games in the margins is something that Matt Campbell's teams have figured out. And, we'll know a lot more after this Iowa football team leaves Ames in 12 days.
They've become Iowa when it comes to like figuring out how to be in games till late and winning in the end, and that's what they kind of did. I'm pessimistic. I'm optimistic, I should say, about this team. I think Mark Gronowski. I don't know if you listened earlier, but he's like 49-6 as a starter. I get like the level is different now, but like he's a proven winner. And like, yeah, you mentioned the defense, but they do that all the time, Andrew. You don't know, how are you going to replace Jack Campbell? How are you going to replace, Cooper DeJean? And it goes on and on for like Josie Jewell and on and on. Yeah. And they always find guys that you never know. And they're like, wow, this guy's really good. I always look at the defensive side as there's not question marks. There's just unknowns. They know who they are. I think the coaching staff likes it, but we don't know them yet. I kind of agree with that. That it's going to be the next stars are coming on the defensive side, especially. You just got to wait to see who they are.
Yeah. And I think you get a little bit of offense to go with that defense. And, it sets up for what could be a really fun season with a tough schedule. But, to have, does Penn State come to Kinnick?
So Penn State, Oregon, and Indiana. So there's 4 ranked teams on the schedule right now, and it's Iowa State and Ames, and then the other 3 come to Iowa City, which makes for like Andrew, if they win, if they can go 10-2, the good wins will be there. That means they've had to beaten a Penn State or an Oregon or those type of teams in order to get to that mark, and then you're probably in a college playoff. But yeah, they all come to Iowa City, which should make for good times in Iowa City.
Yeah, and I keep hearing this chatter about Nebraska, and what better way to rain on that parade than show up in Lincoln in November and kick another game-winning field goal to beat them. I don't know. I'm not going to make a prediction of what this record will be.
I was just going to ask. Darn it! I was going to say.
It could be 10-2. It could be 8-4.
So if it's 9 what are you? Are you disappointed with 8-4?
No.
Okay.
Not with this schedule, I don't think.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And by the way, like, that's kind of the bar, right? Like 8-4.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to throw in a 7-5 season in there, and you're going to throw in a 10-2, 11-1, 2015, 12-0. I mean, sometimes when Iowa's at their best is when you don't necessarily expect them to be a great football team. And I like the optimism about the wide receiver room. Everybody's worked up about Gronowski in the spring game or the kids scrimmage or whatever it was. But I tell you what, I've seen him make some throws on tape, not watching tape, but on these video highlights.
You should be.
And I tell you what, he appears to have all the measurables and the attributes to lead this offense to be, because you don't need to be a top 40 offense in the country to be successful as an Iowa football program.
Yeah.
And if you could be somewhere in that 50 to 60 window and not be 119th, I'd tell you what, that could spell a special season.
I know it's cliche because we talk about special teams in Iowa all the time, but like their special teams might be the best in the country. And I think that's going to bode well in a lot. There's no layups, Andrew. There's no yes, UMass, Albany, yes. But like when you get into conference play, you usually can look and be like, well, that they can get that one. Like every game is going to be a challenge. There's no show up and just do it. So obviously you're going to talk about Gronowski. You can talk about the defense and all that kind of stuff. How about this for an X Factor? Their pregame host.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you. I mean, it's, to
that
think
sounded
that you
bad.
can...
It looks like I'm begging for compliments, and that's not what I was doing. I wanted you to make fun of me. I didn't want you to be nice, but go ahead.
I mean, it's like me being on this show. Like eventually you gotta land somewhere, right? But in all seriousness, happy for you. The fact that you and Pat have a big part of game days now is it makes me smile.
It's scary.
It is scary.
It is scary, but it'll be good. Dude, he did really good last year. I'm proud of him. He did awesome. So
yeah,
no,
he did. He did.
Well, I know
that
you have things.
For him.
I know you have things to do, but hey, we're not just because it's not golf season. Doesn't mean Andrew Lehman's not coming on here. We'll talk football. We'll talk everything else. I just wanted to get you on because the date is set, and we kind of knew it, but it's the 29th of June to July 5th. Get it on your calendar. Keep working on those concerts. I'll bug you every time I talk to you, but you eventually will let us know what they are and all that kind of stuff. And enjoy football season. I'll catch up with you real soon.
Hey, can I ask you one question before we go?
Yeah.
Keegan Bradley. Okay.
Yeah.
Ryder Cup captain.
Yep.
If you're Keegan Bradley, are you a team member or are you not?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Would he be on the team if he were not the captain?
Yes. Yes. So yes, right?
Yeah, but that's got to be the hardest decision of his life.
Yeah.
Because there's so many responsibilities that come with being captain. And I personally don't think he picks himself.
I was going to say, ultimately, don't you think he defaults and doesn't pick himself?
Yeah, I to me, that all those decisions later this week, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what he decides to do.
That is later this week, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
well,
and man, you're going to a page like Bethpage Black with what should be a really captivating Ryder Cup. And I'm looking forward to that. So, and by the way, let's not forget that our champion, Brian Campbell, was one of 6 guys to win multiple events on tour this year. And I don't know that I've told you the story. Here we are. Now we're going past my time.
No, you're good.
So family vacation to Table Rock, and found out the only reason my oldest wanted to go to Table Rock is that he wanted to play Paynes Valley, which I got the logo on today. And he beat me for the first time in golf.
No way.
What a cool place to do it, right? And he's playing high school golf right now. He's on the freshman sophomore team at Pleasant Valley.
That's awesome.
He beats me for the first time, but we get paired with another twosome, and we end up with this. I would say they were in their mid 50s. This couple from Hilton Head, South Carolina. And the guy's best friend is Steve Wilmot, who's the tournament director of the RBC Heritage. So we had a great time, and I had a John Deere Classic hat on. And the wife, Wendy was her name, she plays golf with Brian Campbell's mother twice a week.
No way.
And I think it was a reminder of, all the travel you do in the world, or somebody, talks to you about the Quad Cities when you're out of state, or the state of Iowa, or, hey, you're a Hawkeye fan, or whatever it may be. And this universe of professional golf, it's such a small world. And to have gone on vacation and get paired with, we just had the best time with him. They were texting us 2 weeks ago when he had his high school tryouts, wanting to know how he did. But yeah, he got me for the first time.
Let's not bury the lead. Why are we waiting? Why are you waiting till your time's almost done? You're burying the lead, as they say in the business. Good for him.
Yeah, no,
has he Has he let you know about it like over and over and over again, I hope?
No, he's a little more humble than I would have been because my father, God bless him, for instilling a super competitive nature, probably to where it's not healthy. And my family would tell you that sometimes watching an Iowa football game with me is unpleasant. But I remember the first time I beat my dad in both basketball and golf. And, he hasn't brought it up. He's got the scorecard in his room, and I'm embarrassed of the number of, that I shot there, that it has to live on in his room. But
he's got to get it framed.
Yeah, he got me for the first time.
He's got to get it framed.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pencil whip my version or my line of the scorecard at least make it look
just
like
to make it.
competitive.
Did he get you pretty good?
Yeah, he shot 82. I shot 85. I think I hit 4 or 5 balls out of bounds and didn't play well. But that place, everywhere you turn is a picture moment in that property. And I think from the first tee to when you get down to that 19th hole, I think you dropped like 600 feet or something like that. So had a great time. But yeah, he's out there playing a little high school golf these days, and they started school today. So I officially have a high schooler.
Oh, that's awesome. Which means you're old. Welcome to being the old club, because that's what we are, my friends. So, all right, we'll get out of here. Do what you need to do. We'll catch up again real soon, and always appreciate you, my man.
Cheers, buddy. All
right, that is Andrew Layman, the tournament director over at the John Deere Classic. Yeah, good news. Good to know when the dates are, and man, it's funny. You think and you say, well, it's probably going to be a little bit until the John Deere Classic is back. It's going to be here before you know it. So, and again, October is when we will do the Birdies for Charity announcement that's coming up soon. So I'm excited about that as well. We got more to get to. Coming up after the break, we're going to get to the Cyclones. We've talked about them. Jake Brend is awake. He's got some coffee in him, I'm assuming, trying to figure out what time of day it is, what year it is, all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk Cyclones right after the break, right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563 514-1470 and book your mobile party experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a busy Monday right here in the Quad Cities, Monday, August 25th. Thank you guys for joining us. We've been talking golf. Of course, we're talking football. Led things off with the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin, as the Iowa Hawkeye. Game week is officially here. They look to open the season on Saturday against Albany. Iowa State, as we mentioned, already opening the season in Ireland. And it was a victory for the Cyclones, and back from Ireland, back in his humble house and all that. How are you, my friend? Jake Brend, it's nice not talking to you at 3:00 in the morning.
Well, it feels like 3:00 in the morning right now for me. I'm
through getting back. So when did you get back and all those kind of things?
So I got back at 1 a.m. last night, which would have been 7 a.m. Ireland time. So I was up pretty much for 24 hours straight.
Oh.
But I got like 8-9 hours of sleep. I felt brutal when I woke up, but drank a couple cups of coffee, took a nice cold shower, and I'm back and ready to roll on American time, I think.
Oh.
We'll see later in the day.
I was going to say, it might be a day or two before you feel like your normal self, but I do want to start with welcome home. Ha, 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 you were wrong.
And I was wrong.
You're good with that.
Couldn't have been more wrong.
Yeah, you love that, right?
And trust me, I'm not the type that's like, oh, I'm going to do an emotional hedge or reverse jinx. I don't typically believe in that type of stuff.
I do that stuff.
I used to do that, but now that I'm this professional, esteemed journalist, allegedly,
yes,
I've got to put out what I actually think is going to happen. And I actually thought that K-State would win that game, but I also on the same side thought if Iowa State was going to win, that's kind of how I thought it would look. And it would come down to late game execution. And Rocco Becht had 6 minutes and 23 seconds to either go score a touchdown or not give K-State the ball back. And that's exactly what he did. He didn't give them a chance to win the game. And that I was wrong. I didn't think that Iowa State would be in the position to do that. But if they were in that position, I don't know if there's a quarterback in college football right now that you'd rather put the ball in the hands of than Rocco Becht.
Yeah, no, he made big plays. And that's the thing about it is you look at his stat line, and if you don't watch the game and you just look 14 for 28, 173, a couple touchdowns, you're like, didn't do anything amazing. But like the way he handled that last drive and the way he played in the second half was impressive. I do want to talk about the decision. Was Matt Campbell channeling his inner Dan Campbell, my guy right here, 4th and 3. I mean, I go back to, it reminded me when the Lions did it last year against the Packers. It was a Thursday night football, Monday night football. It was a primetime game. And the Lions, instead of kicking a field goal and going up 3 even, they went for it, got the first down, knowing that they could have the rest of the game. I thought it was a great decision. Your thoughts when you were there and then looking back at it?
Yeah, luckily I did tweet it out. I was having problems sending tweets in real time, but that was one that I sent out that I said, go for it.
Yeah.
Because, one, like I already said, Rocco has proven time and time again that when it is the height of the game, when the pressure couldn't be any higher, he is the same quarterback as he is in practice. You can look at, sometimes he has rough starts to the game. Saturday was definitely that. It was also soaking wet. But Rocco had 4 game-winning drives last year. He had a 5th if you add the Texas Tech game where the defense gave up a touchdown in just a minute. So he has proven time and time again. And when you can go out there, have the defense on their heels, and say, Rocco, go and get us 3 yards, you do it. And I didn't know this at the time because I wasn't watching the broadcast, of course, but in Rocco's post-game interview on ESPN, he said that Campbell and Mauser gave him 2 options, and go and make the play call at the line. And when you can trust your quarterback like that to not only make the right call, make the right read, and go and ice the game, it means you've got someone pretty special under center.
No, absolutely. Jake Brend joining us right now from CycloneFanaticc on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Jake, you look at it, and I was getting text messages throughout the games from Iowa fans saying, like, Iowa State doesn't look this and frontline that and all this kind of stuff. And they win the football game against a really good team. And obviously it's week 1. They didn't play their best football. And then they still come home with a season, I don't want to say changing win, but like we talked about defining it because it now sets up a lot of interesting stuff moving forward. Look at it in that perspective. They didn't play their best football and they still found a way to win a football game.
Yeah, absolutely. They did not play anywhere near their best football in the first half. I would go as far to say offensively in the first half, they played outright bad football. And a lot of that, again, it's week 0. Put yourself in the shoes of every other college football program that's playing, like Iowa State's typically playing South Dakota or UNI in that game. Iowa's usually playing Albany, whoever it is. Typically, neither of those teams look all that great in the first half. And then you stack that up against one of your biggest rivals, a Big 12 opponent, and in the pouring rain. I rewatched the broadcast yesterday. It did not come across as how hard it was raining. I was soaking wet. The field was soaking wet. It was just not good football conditions, and the offense looked outright bad. But I don't know if they could have played any better in the second half. K-State, I think, has the best front 7 on Iowa State's schedule. I think they've got the best front 7 in the Big 12. And my biggest question mark with the Cyclones is the O-line. And they dominated K-State for 2 straight quarters. They ran the ball for over 100 yards. They ran 40 plays to K-State's 22. It was outright domination, and that was the one thing I did not expect to see that I guess has me feeling the most optimistic about Iowa State if their biggest question mark just took it to K-State's biggest strength.
Yeah, and you mentioned, because we have our conversations, I'm watching the game and I'm like, they're not running the football very well first half wise. And that was something we talked at length about. And then to almost wear down that defense and have the success in the second half, I didn't see it. I was shocked when I saw the running lane coming, or the running game coming to life. I think, like you mentioned, it bodes well for Iowa State moving forward. What was the atmosphere like afterwards? Give us that. I mean, not a ton of, there was good media over there, and hats off to everybody who made it over there, but we're used to, Jack Trice Stadium and all those kind of things. What was that atmosphere like? I know I love it how people on social media are like, they got a trophy, how stupid. Do we know that, like, go to the Iowa football office? Like, they're all over the place. Like, that's what college football is fun about, is like there's trophy games. Like, get over it. They're not like, they don't think they won a national championship, but enjoy it. So anyways, what was the atmosphere like afterwards with that team, those coaches, all that kind of stuff?
The atmosphere in game, after the game, it was one of the coolest sporting events that I've ever been a part of. It was, I don't know what I expected, but it exceeded all of my expectations. When they played the Star Spangled Banner back to back with the Irish national anthem, that was, it just sent chills down my spine to see. It was probably 35% Iowa State, 35% K-State, and then what's that math? 70. So then 30% locals. It was. I don't even know how to. It was kind of like an NCAA tournament game, but louder, of course, because it's a football stadium or a soccer stadium. The way it's built, it was just unlike anything I've ever seen. And then after the game, pretty much after Rocco Beck scored the go-ahead touchdown to put him up 10 points. I thought the game was over. The K-State, of course, goes down and scores. But the vibes from that point on, it was a total party in Dublin. And I worked all night, so I didn't go and check out the pubs for one night. I took one night off. But from all the videos I saw, my family was out there. It was a Cyclone takeover in Ireland.
You're so responsible. I'm so proud of you. Well done. I want to talk about what it's like moving forward this week. I love how you did math like that on the sleep schedule you're in. That's impressive. Like that could have easily looked bad on your part, but you pulled through. So I'm proud of you. Jake Brend joining us right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. We're not going to keep him too much longer because he's got to reacclimate himself to the area. But before we leave Ireland completely, take away the football. You mentioned the pubs. What was if you told people, hey, this is what I loved about Ireland, what would it have been?
Oh man. I love Dublin. Don't get me wrong. But the 2 days we left Dublin were incredible. We went to a place called Howth. It was only like a 30-minute train ride out to the coast. Just walked the beautiful cliffs. It was like a 6-mile hike. It was incredible. Dublin itself, I think just walking around and having pub after pub, cool restaurant after cool restaurant. It was, if you've ever been to Boston, it was like Boston on steroids.
Okay. Just went to Boston this year.
You never know where you are. You're always on some other windy road that's going somewhere else. But literally every 10 steps, there's a new pub where you can walk in. And I was able to, after the first day, I was able to find some places a little bit off the beaten path and go to spots where it was probably 80% locals, 20% tourists, opposed to the reverse. And that part was really fun, getting to experience Irish culture. It's a great country, and I will be going back someday.
Oh,
There's
that's
no
awesome
doubt.
to hear. Okay, so a little more football before we let you go. We're at a meeting last Thursday for the Hawkeye Radio Network, and we're all talking about like the Iowa State game coming up, and even Anger says like, dude, I just found out that Iowa State plays next week. Like they have a game, and like I think half the table was like surprised that there's a football game to be played. They left right afterwards. They headed back. What will this week be like? You talked about yourself getting acclimated. Now, those guys didn't spend all evening in pubs like you did, but they're a little more probably responsible. But knowing you're living it and you're going through it, what will this week be like for them?
Well, the good news is they also didn't spend 6 hours on a layover.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Like they got back to Iowa at noon on Sunday. So I'm guessing they just stayed up, went to bed 8, 9 o'clock, and I would guess that they're feeling a lot better than I am. If I just had the flight from Ireland to America, I'd feel a lot better right now. It was the sitting on the runway in Chicago for an hour before even getting off the plane, and then waiting and waiting and waiting. So that part wasn't fun. But there is a real challenge. There's no doubt that it is going to be different to overcome that. The good news is you'd think it should only take a couple days. Probably a light practice, maybe film day today. Maybe instead of 2 tough practices this week, it's just 1. And maybe Iowa State's treating this like a Friday game, like you would coming off of a Saturday game. That's what I would expect. I don't think the jet lag should play a factor Saturday, where I think the biggest concern would be you just beat a rival, massive win. Everybody's telling you how good you are. You're already 1-0 in the Big 12. You picked up your biggest win of the season. And on the other side, you've got another rivalry game with Iowa. Haven't beat them at Jack Trice in a decade. But sandwiched in between is an FCS program that made the Final Four last year, and their starting quarterback is a former Cyclone. So they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. They're a talented team, and it has all the makings of a trap game that Iowa State should still win, but there are the ingredients there for maybe a scary trap game.
A little closer maybe than expected. At Jack Trice, but they ain't losing at Jack Trice. So, all right, my friend, I can't wait till next week. Go do what you do and all that kind of stuff, and continue the great coverage on the CycloneFanaticc and next week's Cy-Hawk Week. We're gonna have some fun with that. I don't know if like I get cakered on here with you, or if I don't know how I'm gonna go about doing it, but we'll have some fun with it. It's gonna be a fantastic game. So get rested, all that kind of stuff. Fantastic coverage. I was watching and taking in all of it as you did it. So glad everything went well, and I appreciate you doing this goofy little show when you get back. Thanks, my man.
Thanks, Dazza. We'll see you next week.
All right, that is Jake Brend doing awesome work for the CycloneFanaticc and the Cyclones. Everyone happy in Ames as they get a big victory. And if you're an Iowa fan, that's a good thing. Like, you want Iowa State to be ranked and playing well in 2 weeks when Iowa goes there and makes it, you know, a more intriguing matchup, and also more beneficial if Iowa can somehow beat the Cyclones at Jack Trice Stadium once again. So anyways, we got more to get to on today's show. One more segment. We got a high school football preview coming up. We're going to check in with Annawan Wethersfield and their head coach, Tony Gripp, because despite all of this college football stuff going on and everything else we've already talked about, there's actually high school football this week as well. It's an awesome week. We'll check in with the Titans right after this. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo, now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Of course, this week is a big week. It's football week, finally. We've talked so much about college football and about high school football. The talk's finally over. We are just 4 days away from kicking things off for real, the first Friday night of the high school season. And we'll continue our Off the Air previews by taking a trip out to the Annawan Wethersfield area and get joined by their head coach, Tony Gripp, and talk a little LLC football. First and foremost, young man, thank you for doing this. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
It's an exciting time. And I guess before we get into your team and game week and all that, what was this offseason like for you guys? Obviously a good season last year, 6-3 season. What was this offseason like as you guys get ready for the next this year?
Yeah, we had a pretty good offseason. I think 90% of our roster hit their, summer attendance goals and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. Obviously, the goal is always to have 100%, but 90% is pretty good too. So our summer was pretty good, and we did have a decent year last year, given the circumstances with two of our best kids going out in the first game of the year. But I think that was kind of the eye-opening moment, right, for the kids that are coming back. Like, hey. We got some unexpected experience from last year, so now it's our time to shine, and we got to build on those 6 wins.
You kind of mentioned it, two to bounce back after that and to maybe finish the way you guys finished. Kind of talk about that, because you got rolling towards the second half of the season and those things as well. What did that mean, not just for last year, but on this offseason, looking forward to this season? And you mentioned maybe getting some kids maybe ahead of schedule that they weren't already last year.
Yeah. Well, it made us really, our install this summer go, substantially faster than probably it should have, if those guys didn't go down last year. And then like the right side of our offensive line's coming back as well. So really it was more of, these guys that are coming up and maybe the first time starters that have a little bit of experience, but not a whole lot. We got to get them up to speed. And the kids have been really great about that as far as, building our depth in the backfield with Maddox and Devo and Nick coming back. The pieces are kind of already there. But we still want to build that depth a little bit and have, 2 or 3 more back there so we can spell them and stuff like that. And they've been great, kind of be coaching on the field to build that depth. And the guys coming back on the offensive line have been great, coaching the younger kids to build that depth a little bit as well. So, yeah, I'm really proud of the way, those guys have handled a leadership role kind of when all eyes were on like the senior class, and you never know who's going to kind of step into those roles,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tony Gripp joining us right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. You mentioned a few first names, but tell us what this looks like. And I know the offense has familiar pieces, those guys in the trenches. I know there's some experience coming back there as well. Give some guys some love, and what does it look like maybe for the Titans on the offensive side of things this year?
Sure. So last year when Zeb went down, Nick started at what we call F, our 2-back system, and Zeb started at T. Well, Zeb went down, and Devin Horry stepped in that role and really didn't look back. A little bit different type of back than Zeb, probably 30 or 40 pounds lighter, but super quick. And he's kind of our shifty guy, our speed guy. And Nick's lost a couple pounds since last year, and he's moving a lot better than he did last year. But he's kind of our heavier back, our power back. So that's kind of our 1-2 punch in the backfield that was last year, and it is again this year. And then Maddox, when Brody went down week 1 with his collarbone, Maddox stepped in at quarterback. In that week 1 game last year, he caught a touchdown pass. I think he ran for 1, and he threw for 1. So that was kind of a pleasant surprise for our backup quarterback. But so with him back, he'll be a Swiss Army knife. We can put the ball in his hands running the ball, and he's gotten a lot better throwing the ball vertically as well. So we should be pretty fun to watch offensively.
Absolutely. I know, and you know this well, those guys up front are important. And kind of talk about the trenches. We just had Gary Dolphin on earlier in the show talking about Iowa and being so good in the trenches. On Friday night, that's so important. And I know you got some guys that you're excited about on the offensive line as well.
Yep. So our right tackle will be Aiden DeValkner. He's a 3-time starter. And then Carson Germents will be our right guard. He started, sparingly the last 3 years as well. We are moving Wyatt to Splinter. He also got some reps at guard last year. We're moving him into center. And then Ryder Speck will be a junior who's going to be our left guard. And then a senior left tackle, Ryan Rosno, will make his first time starts this year as well. So our left side, left tackle, left guard are the first time starters, and then center through our right side are coming back for the most part.
You look at this conference, and it's such a good conference, both sides of it especially. But how do you prepare for this year? What do you see when you look at that conference? And it's never easy. We know that. And you guys are going to be challenged once again each and every Friday night.
Yeah. I think the biggest key, for us this year is, starting hot and kind of staying hot. The last couple of years, we've lost a week 2 game, and it was a blessing and a curse, I think, at the same time. It was disappointing, but, it's very eye-opening for our kids when you kind of get a gut punch early on. Now, I'm not saying I want that to happen. I certainly don't. But, that's kind of been the case the last 2 years, and I think trying to avoid that and, with our install being a little bit more down the line that we kind of expected at this point, I don't think that's going to happen. At least I hope not, where we had to kind of be vanilla the last couple of years in the first couple of games until we got caught up to speed. So yeah, I think just starting hot and staying hot is going to be the key, because down the line, when we got to play, Rushville and Princeville, those are going to be two huge games for us. And if we already have a loss on our resume, that's not going to be good come playoff time.
Oh, absolutely. You're an alum, year 5, which is crazy there. Talk about doing what you get to do and being at a school that you know very well, and year 5 now. It's got to be I know it's gratifying watching the kids what they do, but personally, it's got to be a cool journey for you as well.
Yeah. So it's very unique. I graduated from Annawan, and now I teach at Wethersfield, and obviously coach. So yeah, when I graduated, I never really had that in mind, to be honest with you. I was kind of under the impression I'd get out of here, and then you get married and have kids, and you're like, there's no way I'm going to be able to survive without grandparents and people helping. You know what I mean? So
preaching to the choir here, my man. Preaching to the choir.
Yeah. And, getting to teach, I kind of got two sides of the spectrum as well. I teach junior high math, and then I also teach high school weightlifting. So probably not a typical head football coach schedule, but, it's fun because we get to build relationships with the junior high kids, and then also coach the high school kids and teach both sides of that as well. So, it's great. And I always tell people, like, I'm really not sure I'd be very good being the head coach anywhere else. Like when you go through the program and you grow up in the community and you come back, like, your heart and soul is poured into this place. So, I'm not sure I could do that. It wouldn't be fair to somebody else. You know what I mean? If I was the head coach for them, but no, it's been an awesome journey. Everybody's so supportive, and the kids and families are great.
That school, that community, your program is one of those on a Friday night that's just it's an awesome atmosphere. You drive in and you know that you're ready for football. Can you talk about that a little bit from playing back in the day to now being the head coach? The community support there is amazing, and Friday nights are just something different at Annawan Wethersfield, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And each location has their own, kind of unique experience, I think, like walking across the street in Wethersfield and, the fans are kind of lining the sidewalk and the kids are, lining the sidewalk for the high fives. And, of course the kids don't talk about it, but that it matters a great deal to them, seeing that support. And then, like in Annawan, there's no fence, it's just kind of a rope around the field. And, there's not too terribly many bleachers, but, like the big games, you get 3 or 4 deep around the rope in Annawan. There's not a whole lot of places that are better than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But both places have their own unique, atmosphere, and both are awesome on Friday nights.
No, 100%. Before I let you go, let's talk about goals, expectations, all those kind of things, because, and we kind of talked before we started and before we came on air, that the expectations are high, and the people that I talk to really like what Annawan Wethersfield has. How do you guys approach goals, expectations, outside noise? Do you brace that kind of stuff? Do you tell the kids to not listen to the goofy guy that started a show in his loft and not get caught up in the hype and all that kind of stuff? How do you want your kids approaching this season?
Yeah, I think, ever since I was coming through school, even the message has always been the exact same, whether it was Coach Johnston or Coach Willits and everybody else that's been on staff for the last, 18 years. The program is what it is, and the kids are who they are. The expectation is you're going to compete every single year, no matter who's on the field, for a conference championship, and you need to win playoff games. And last year we weren't able to do that. 2 years ago we were able to go to the quarters. Before that we were first round exits, and lately it's kind of been we're close, we've gotten to the quarters, but it's time to get back there a little bit more consistently. And when that happens 18 years straight, I think kids know that, whether you're talking about a podcast or a show or the news or whatever, their kids, of course, they're going to look at it, or their parents are going to look at it and talk to them about it. We don't really talk a whole lot about that. They just know year in and year out what the expectation is, because it doesn't change.
Lastly, before I let you go, what's this week like? because you've been hitting each other for weeks and all summer and all that kind of stuff. And it's finally game week. Is it a little different? Is the vibe different this morning around the school, around the guys, practice tonight? I can only imagine that like the wait is almost over and this week's got that different vibe to it.
Absolutely. Well, and when you walk out on a Monday, a game week, and it's 60 degrees when you walk out the door, it's there's a little pep in your step in the morning. Yeah. No, it is. I think this is kind of a time now where we really get into our routine for our Mondays film and formation rec and things like that on Mondays. And, really just the layout of each week moving forward is going to be fairly consistent now. I think this is the time you start building routine and the kids know what to expect. And it's here and it's exciting.
You mentioned routine. Any superstitions for you? Are you like a game week type of guy or a game day kind of guy, like certain shorts or whatever, like anything crazy like that from your playing days that you held over?
My playing days were like certain, Under Armour under my jersey. I don't have that anymore, but I wear a different hat week one last year than I've worn the previous 3 years. And that hat is just in terrible shape.
Yeah.
So, but I wore a different one week one last year. Our two best players got hurt in the first quarter. I didn't wear it again.
Yeah, and I completely understand what you're saying. Enough said. Yeah.
But I've wore the hat like every day for practice so far this year. I'm like, it's not the hat's fault. Whatever happens is going to happen. So we're trying to get over it.
Yeah, I like to say it's an office thing, but I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. And you never know. You don't mess with the football gods. So, Coach, I appreciate your time. Wish you guys the best of luck. Stay healthy. Get through week one without anything crazy happen like it happened last year. And hopefully we talk to you down the road again real soon. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
All right. That is Tony Gripp, the head coach out at Annawan Wethersfield. They start their season this Friday night as well. High school football season back on both sides of the river starting on Friday night. Don't forget, I'll be joining Greg Armstrong and the guys from The View from the West for the Instant Reacts podcast. That'll come your way live on YouTube at 10:15 every Friday night. So high school football season is finally here. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need mobile party experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile party experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your mobile party experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Monday, August 25th. Thank you guys for joining us today and all the podcasting platforms that you can check the show out. YouTube, X has been great today. It'll be up on the podcasting platforms here soon as well. A lot of fun. Gary Dolphin, the voice of the Hawkeyes, kicking off game week with us right here on Off the Air. Talked with him about his 28th season, I think 28th season coming up at the University of Iowa. Talked about his now partner in crime, Pat Anger. Talked about the football team itself and Gronowski and all that kind of stuff. Albany a little bit, so much to get to. So if you're an Iowa fan and you missed that, go check out Gary Dolphin at the beginning of the show. Also, we were joined by Andrew Layman, a Hawkeye fan in his own right, but the tournament director out of the John Deere Classic. Talk about the success of this year's John Deere Classic. Also, the date's now set for the JDC. So great to catch up with Andrew Layman. Also had Jake Brend on, back from Ireland. CycloneFanaticc did a fantastic job and talked about what it meant to get that victory for Iowa State. Didn't play their best football, especially in the first half. And to walk away with a victory over Kansas State does nothing but good things for them, and what they'll be like for them, because it'll be interesting. It'll be a challenge, like Jake said, this weekend. because it's a good opponent coming to town with Iowa the next week and coming back from Ireland. Just a lot of things that can make it that classic sleeper game. But I do think the Iowa State Cyclones win this weekend. It'll be an interesting and maybe closer than expected game at Jack Trice Stadium. But great Iowa State talk with Jake Brend. Go check that out as well. And then our OTA preview, high school-wise, coming from Tony Gripp today out at Annawan Wethersfield. So fun show. Tomorrow's show is to be determined. I got to get myself up to Iowa City for a few things tomorrow. So I don't know if we're going to do an early show, if we're going to do something in the afternoon, if we're just going to punt, depending on how long I'm in Iowa City. So we'll let you guys know on social media about tomorrow's show. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll be rocking and rolling no matter what. Friday, we're going to take the show on the road. More on that coming up throughout the week, but we're going to take the show on the road to Bettendorf High School. Pleasant Valley and Bettendorf kick it off this week. What a way to start the high school football season. So a lot of fun things we got coming up. We'll talk about the Fighting Illini, and they get ready to open the season as well. Iowa State, Iowa, St. Ambrose opens the season this weekend as well. We're going to get caught up with the Bees throughout the week. So a lot to get to. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting the show and viewing it, and however you view or listen to the show. And as always, we got to thank our sponsors for allowing me to do this show each and every day here in the Quad Cities. They're the best. We don't have the graphic up. I didn't grab it today, but Hungry Hobo, Snoops, Godfathers, Rafferty Funeral Home, the Quad City Steamwheelers, Mobile Party Experience, and soon starting, maybe this week, hopefully, if I can get that commercial kind of tweaked and done, we got Skiles Driving School kicking things off with us as well. So if you're interested in working with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, we'd love to chat with you as well. Get a hold of me on social media. We can chat and figure things out as we continue to grow this thing each and every weekday right here in the Quad Cities. So thank you guys so much for watching today's show. We'll be back with a lot of great stuff throughout the week right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo.